Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're watching us from. This is the 32nd session of Leadership Talk with Adegoke. I'm so privileged to have with me tonight Dr. Hiho Udweni. And he's an amazing gentleman. We've known ourselves for more than 2 decades, and it's such a privilege and honor to be sharing the platform with him tonight. Trust your day has been well, sir.
Yes, it's been fine. It's been nice and sunny where I am, so it's been very good.
Awesome. So we're going to be looking at the topic leadership and talent management. So please jump right in. Could you just tell us about yourself? Who is Hiho Udweni?
Okay, I'll try and be succinct as best as I can. I'm not noted for my brevity. Let me say it that way. So I'll say very simply, I am proudly Nigerian, born and battered in the great city of Lagos. But I'm also British, and I have a strong commitment to my adopted city of Nottingham, where I've lived for close to going to 20 years now. I'm an environmental management professional. I've focused on environmental policy implementation and regulation over the course of my career. I also have a strong affinity for project management and have a good appetite for instigating and embedding positive change in a kind of iterative way. I am currently a public servant. That's one of the things I'm proud of, being a civil servant. I see public service as one of the good callings for anyone who wants to live out a career serving others and contributing to the public good. But beyond all of that, personally, I enjoy volunteering. For those who know me very well, they know I'm a strong volunteering buff, and I usually get involved in all sorts in my local community. And I've been in several different roles in that space, just giving my time, giving my skills to my local community and beyond. But most importantly, I think if you talk about introducing myself, is that I'm a husband. I've been married for going to 18 years now to my wife, Margaret. I'm also a father, which I'm very proud of 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, which is one of the most amazing accomplishments you can always or ever have as a man, I think. But I'm also a Christ-loving, Bible-believing, nonetheless imperfect and flawed child of God. That's the way I'll probably just describe myself in brief.
Amazing. Wow, it's so good to have you on tonight. I trust that we're going to be having a very powerful session. This topic is one that I'm so passionate about, talent management. I always believe that, you can't give what you don't have. A lot of us are products of, good mentors, and it has helped us to stay calm even in the midst of storm. So tonight, I just want you to speak to this topic, leadership and talent management. What's the correlation between leadership and talent management?
Well, I think there is a very strong connection. So let me just describe very briefly from my perspective. I see leadership as setting and describing a vision for an organization, for a people, for society. So leadership takes that space, but it also enables, empowers, and supports others to be able to deliver that vision, whether it's a vision on a very personal level for families or even on a bigger scale for nations and countries. So leadership is all about setting that vision, enabling the delivery of that vision through others. But talent management, on the other hand, is about, identifying the right talent, recruiting that talent, developing and nurturing that talent, deploying that talent, and putting all in place to make sure that you retain that talent as best as you can within the organization. So when you connect both of them together, I see leadership as playing that central role, of defining the values, the principles, and the frameworks, for the portfolio of talent that is required to deliver a vision. So the vision comes first, what you need to deliver the vision, you need a set of skills, you need a set of talents, and leadership defines that, sets the values that guides that. The connection there is that talent management, on the other hand, stimulates and produces a positive environment for leaders to grow and emerge. So talent management births new leaders. It creates an enabling environment for leadership to thrive. So one cannot really go without the other. So leadership sets the pace, talent management goes the full circle, and also produces new leaders, good leaders, and the right environment where leadership will thrive. So let me give you a simple example. If you have a leadership that sets values, okay, it sets values around, say, its talent structure, whereby the values are around things like, how could I put this now? Hierarchy. Puts a lot of value on hierarchy, puts a lot of value of identifying talent from a particular group of people, a social class, a particular color of people, or from a particular place. And you put that kind of leadership beside one that is, focused on potential, that prioritizes experience, prioritizes the right behaviors, prioritizes inclusivity, diversity.
Merit.
You will get a different set of outcomes like that. So you see, there are a strong connection between them. You cannot have one without the other in a sustainable way.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Now, I know you just touched on something that is very instructive there, So you have to, it's not just about, favoritism, but it's based on merit, you should promote people not based on just hierarchy, but just, based on what they're able to bring to the table. Now, I just want you to speak to this. How did you get into leadership? I mean, I know you have a PhD in environmental, you are sort of like a technocrat and somebody that is, also an intellectual. But how did you get into leadership? Because I know you used to be in banking, about 2 decades ago. How did you get into leadership?
That's a tricky one. Again, so when you say leadership is a very broad term, and we all demonstrate leadership in different spaces and places, and I wouldn't say there's a formalized way of me trying to get into leadership. I probably will put it this way. Let me put the question on its head. I think it's better to say, why did I get into a scenario whereby I am taking up leadership roles or positions or responsibilities? I think for me, it's always, being about wanting to add value, wanting to make a difference, wanting to be heard, wanting to have an impact in wherever I operate and wherever I find myself. And I have seen that just emerge naturally, because either people, give me permission to lead them, give me permission to step forward, or people see my products, see my outcomes, and say, yes, you can be able to lead that. So no formalized way, but if we talk about, if I were to put a place to it, I think it's just wanting to make sure that my ideas, I've got a space to air them. I've got people around me, and because I think leadership is nothing without the people around itself. So, and I like to be in that kind of space. Whereby I'm with people, we are bouncing ideas off the wall, we're trying to get things done, we're trying to change things. So I don't have a formal way, but yeah, I don't have any kind of formal way of getting into leadership. But on a positional level, which I think is the lowest form of leadership, but it's on a positional level, I think it's more around me getting the right mentors, getting the right coaches, having that mindset of wanting to be linked with something a little bit bigger than myself. I think that's the way.
Okay, now let me make it clearer. 2 decades ago, you were a banker. How did you move from banking into, now, the intellectual area of like the environment and having a PhD?
Okay.
How did you, that journey? I want to know, how did you transit from being a banker to now speaking to nations?
Yeah, I think it for me it was very simple. I think banking was a good start fresh off university, wanting to get a job, lovely experience within banking. But I think for someone like me, I'm all about the future. Now it's great, but it's about where you're going to. And then at that point in time, I didn't see banking as taking me to where I wanted to be. And you will recall, banking of 20 years ago was a different kettle of fish. I don't think it invested in people. It didn't invest in my aspirations. It didn't invest in or cared about what I cared about. And really, on the back of that, even though I was a banker, I was first a geologist. I was initially trained as a geologist, and the environment, the love of the environment was always calling. The transition itself was all bordered around planning, was all about having the right people around you, but around having the right mentors around you to guide, and point you in the right direction. But it's also about grafts, it's also about rolling up your sleeves and doing the work, rolling up your sleeves, acquiring the necessary knowledge, necessary relationships, necessary networks to help you transit into where you're going to.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, now let's go into the meat of the matter. Now, how can a leader identify and build talents in an organization?
Identify and build talent. I think I'll start it this way. I think it's better to just qualify talent a little bit, and because I believe that everyone has an intrinsic potential in them to add value. Basically saying everyone has a potential, has a talent within them. I think first of all, leaders, if the question is always for leaders, is about identifying the right talent for the organization, the right talent that matches the vision of that organization. So that's the first point of call. So I will say, how can a leader do that? A leader must first be very clear about their why. They must be clear about why the organization exists, why they operate there in that organization, where are they going to, what's the reason behind the organization. And when that is clear, the next step for me will then become to see, what do I need to get me from where I am to where I'm going to, not just in the short term, but in the long term. So a leader is thinking about the future. So I'll probably just describe a few things. If you continue, if you allow me to speak.
Go ahead.
I think leaders should horizon scan. Horizon scan first. If I'm a leader sitting in my organization, if anyone listening, you are a leader of a team, you're a leader of a department, or a leader of an organization itself, I think you should sit down and just look into the horizon. What's happening in the next 10, 15, 20 years? Where will the organization be? What are the factors that will impact on your organization, either positively or negatively? And what are the sets of skills that you require, the sets of talents that you require to take you there? And when you do that, then you start identifying the right set of skills that goes into that. So I think you focus on the right behaviors, the right abilities, and the right social skills. When you sit down and you're looking for people to fill the slot of an IT specialist, you're not just looking for someone who knows how to the numbers. You're not just looking for someone who is technical. You're looking for the whole person. Has he got the right set of behavior? Does he fit into my organization? Does he, is he proactive? Is she, has she got drive? Does she match our vision? So you want to think along those terms, but also you need to be driven by data and evidence. So I've sat in so many panels with people, and I've looked at so many CVs and so many applications, and there's a whole lot of stories in there. And when you sit in front of people, you need to know how to ask the right questions. Does the data and the evidence on paper match the person that you're looking at? So it means a leader has to be adept at crafting the right questions to bring out the real person.
Wow.
So if you identify the right set, if you want to identify talent, I also think you need to think about the plural. So it's not just the singular person. If you're looking for IT skills, it's not just about IT skills. You will have an organization that has human resources, it's got admin, you've got so many elements of it. How do they fit in? How do they fit into the whole pack? A leader should be thinking about such things, not just the singular, I've got a role to fill, I need to go get Mr. A or Miss B to fill that role. You need to be thinking beyond the now to the year after. But also of talent. A leader needs to think about those three keywords: quality, diversity, inclusivity. you need to be comfortable to embrace people who are different from recruit or identify talent in their own image. It's some kind of obscene inbreeding of talents, where you look at people that talk like you, went to the same schools like you, think like you. That is definitely the wrong way to go. We all need to be open to a diversity of talents.
Yeah.
That you do not shut out talents just because of the way they look and they feel and the sound. So that's about identifying. But I think when it talks about building talent, that's where the real work then starts, because there's a whole lot of investment in time and energy into bringing people into organization, into identifying these talents. And if you are poor at it, you lose them in the next couple of months, couple of years after investing so much in them. So I think building talent is central. You need to focus on the whole person, and I use that word, the whole person, because talent, when it's used in this kind of a standoff way, you think it's you're dealing with human beings with emotions. You're dealing with human beings who come baggage. So you need to think about, how do you develop the whole person? How do you connect, their aspirations to the organization's vision? Those are the key things you need to think about. And then you go into the strategy of talent development. We talk about having the right level of autonomy, of performance management, having social support, the coaching, providing the relevant knowledge, the relevant experience, to get that person up and running.
Wow. Amazing. If you're just joining us tonight, I've been speaking with my friend, my brother, Dr. Iho Idwe, and we're looking at the topic leadership and talent management. We've been learning so much tonight, and I'm so grateful to be sharing the platform with this wonderful gentleman. Now, what is the importance of talent management?
Well, you're basically asking me, what's the business case for talent management, if I may speak business speak. Yeah, there is a huge, immense business case for talent management. The importance of talent management is central. Why? Because everything revolves around people. If you run a team, you run an organization, you run a charity, it's all invested in people. People make it go round. So people are huge, or your talents in this case, are a huge source of value creation and competitive advantage. If you want to be the best organization there is to creating widgets, you have to have the right people with the right skill, who are flexible, adaptable, who are innovative, who are risk takers, who can experiment. So you need to invest in them. You need to grow them. You need to give them that space to grow. So that's one. I also think that when you invest in talent management, then you have a high quality and productive workforce. So it's a no-brainer. Your company is thriving. Your people are engaged, they are motivated, they are happy. They are delivering profits for you. They're delivering adding value to your organization. But also, you retain them. When you do all of these things, people stay. I know people say a lot of the time that people come to work for money. Yes, we all go to work to earn a living, but it's sometimes beyond that. It's beyond that. When you're in an organization, you enjoy the relationships around you, you feel that they're investing in you and they care for you, that they trust you and you trust them, you are more likely to stay even when you're offered even a bigger package. So I'll say it fosters creativity, it promotes, more importantly, organizational resilience. You will know that we're in a changing time, a changing marketplace. We are still in that era of COVID, which is a significant change for many organizations. The organizations that will survive are those that are invested in their people, that their people can come back and quickly be reskilled. Their people can come back and quickly be adaptable. They're agile. You can move them about. If you're not invested in them, rigid people who know how to do one thing one way for so long, you're going to collapse. So it's a no-brainer, really. I just think that if talent management is the bread and butter of successful organizations, the right organization, the smart organization is thinking about tomorrow, and they are preparing, they are tooling their people ready for tomorrow.
Wow. You said so many things, powerful nuggets tonight. I just want to celebrate you, and I'm sure that those who are also on the platform are getting, a lot of energy. Someone said, one of my colleagues about talent management said it's about planning and having the right people around you. It also said it's about pivoting. Talent management is about, leadership is nothing without the people. And she also said that, talent management births new leaders. Talent management births new leaders. Also, the lady is saying that you promote people based on merit. We all demonstrate leadership in different spaces. Awesome, 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 awesome. So I just want to ask. I want to ask a question, also as a follow up to the earlier question. Now, I want to ask, what are the consequences of not building or growing talents in an organization?
Yeah.
What are the consequences of?
Well,
Yeah.
I'll simply just said, if you just look at the reverse of all I've just been saying, because I think one needs to recognize that talent is mobile, very, very mobile. I was saying that the consequences are just people. If you do not build your talent, then it is a strong indicator that there's a lack of commitment and trust there. If you only want to take out of your people, you come, they do the 95 and they go, then they have no commitment to your organization. They don't trust the organization to do beyond what they've been contracted to. But also, more importantly, okay, there's this theory of psychological contracts. I don't know if you've come across it, that beyond the factual contract of you're employed from 9 to 5, and I'm going to pay you X, Y, and Z to do this, there's a psychological contract that employees expect of employers and employers of employees. And one of them, if you ask anybody, is the fact that when I come to an organization, I expect to be given the space and the room to grow and to develop, to progress. I do not expect to come into this organization and sit on one spot and make no progress. So when you don't invest in them, you've technically broken that psychological contract. And what happens then is that people tend to withdraw. They do their barest minimum. You get absences, problems of absences. You get grievances because people are always complaining and moaning. You get a higher staff turnover. And I don't know if you know, the average cost of recruiting an individual in the UK is £3,000.
Wow.
And that's average. In some cases, some organizations spend as much as tens of thousands just to recruit an individual. And if you have them for a few months or a few years and you lose them, you actually train money down the river. But more importantly, I just think if you don't invest in talent, then you are going to struggle to be sustainable. Definitely going to struggle to be a sustainable organization in this very fluid, and ever-changing environment that we find ourselves. You don't invest in people, then you're shooting yourself in the foot.
But you make it seem very easy, investing in people. But earlier we were talking about, at the point of recruitment, you should recruit the right people with the right mindset. Now in this era of COVID, so many things have happened. Businesses that have to recalibrate. Having to hire, and deploy strategy. Some people might be used to doing certain types of job functions. How do you now encourage them to move on? Even the government is saying, oh, they have some new ideas now that in the UK that they're encouraging people to move to new areas. How do you encourage that? How do you make that, provide the enabling environment for that?
Okay, so this is what I'll say. First of all, I'll say, and I'll caveat this by saying that talent management is both an art and a science, and leaders will make mistakes. Things will not always go wrong. So I'll just put that out there. So it's not that, I know I've been describing it as X, Y, and Z, so it's not that straightforward and simple. The second thing is this. Definitely, when you get into situations like this, you will have members of your organization who will struggle. And that's why I say that talent management needs to have a human feel to it. You're not moving around widgets. You're not moving around bolts and nuts. You're not saying to A, now you need to, this has happened. You need to stop doing this, start doing that, and all of that. Of course, you experience resistance. So I think there needs to be, and that's where leadership comes in. That's where you step into that space where you are a source of influence. You are a source of support. You look beyond, that is in the surface. I think, at least in my leadership experience, is about giving the people that I lead the opportunity, to be vulnerable with them. So during when COVID kicked off, I was leading the team, and I led my team virtually, and my team were having challenges, from just even express my challenge. And this is how, when I role model what needs to happen,
Okay.
I wouldn't say it automatically means that everything is going to be okie-dory and people are just going to jump on board. But I think leaders lead. Leaders step in front. But also leaders have to have a personal face. They also have to connect with the human side of things. So for some people, that change and that transition, that mobility that is required will be instant and quick because they get it. For others, it might take a little bit of time. And leaders need to give the people that they lead that space, that breath, which support
grow into,
to make that journey. You don't throw people off just because they're struggling. And remember, like I said, the whole person, there's the things going in the background, their families, their homes, if they've got health conditions, you need to be able to get to that space where you look at the whole person and make the right level of change that is required.
Wow. Awesome. So you've been dropping a lot of nuggets tonight. We looked at the consequences of not growing your team. Now, I just want you to speak to this again, the types of strategies that can be used to build talents. You've talked about deploying, mentoring, retaining. What are the types of strategies that you can use to build talent?
Okay, so I think there's a strategy element of it, which is more around the framework and the structure and the feel of where we are going to. But it's also the action planning elements of it, the actual deliverable aspect. So I'll just touch on both very quickly, and I think I've mentioned a bit of it before. So I think when you have a talent management strategy, that has to be underpinned by a forward-looking approach and a horizon scanning approach. So you build your strategy based on what's happening now, but what might happen also in the future. That's where your strategy needs to be focused on. But also you are planning for the challenges ahead. You are planning for the change ahead that you may have foreseen in your horizon scan. But also, I think when you're setting up those strategies, you need to be aligning that with your strategic priorities as an organization. So if as an organization, our strategic priority, for instance, when I was in the environment agency, is the trust that we become more climate resilient. As an organization, we want to support people and communities to become more climate resilient and they can withstand the change of climate change. That's our trust. Then I should be thinking, what kind of skills and talent do I need to help us get to that space, in that environmental space. So that's just an example. But also, when you talk about the strategies to deploy, then I'll talk about action planning. So we should link talent management practices, talent management actions, link those to the organization goals and priorities so they cannot operate in a void. I cannot be saying, oh, okay, you need to go on the training this week. I know as an organization, we are focused on climate resilience and climate preparation, but I wanted to go do this accounting course. How would that fit into your role? I don't really care. It's a free course. Go do it. Basically, I'm wasting your time, and you definitely probably will not respect or think the organization is serious. So we need to think about how we align those talent management practices with strategic objectives. So when you talk about the action plan, the specifics, you've mentioned a few of them. It's around the what's. what do we need? For some organizations, I think you need to have a formalized structure where you develop a talent pool, where you set the right metrics. Who are you looking for? Where would they have reached? You know, what are the indicators to know that this person qualifies for a pool, into the talent pool? It may be as a function of a performance appraisal. It may be as a function of what they've delivered, the quality of the work they've done. And you say this person is ready for the next step. It's about identifying those within the organization that are ready for the next step. And when you identify them, then you put in place a series of management actions, which may be a combination of formal training, going on courses and workshops to acquire knowledge. It may be informal with coaching and mentoring, you know, but it must always, and that's my view, involve that individual. I think one of the things that I've experienced is that a lot of companies have talent management programs that are static, they are one size fits all. And I think that's where it falls on its head, because people are different. And while some people will excel in doing the academic courses and going for workshops and learning new things, others just want to have a mentor to chat about it. They want somebody, a coach, to give them a little bit of direction here and there, and they can go learn on their own. They want to be self-directed. They don't want to sit in a class all day. You know, those kind of things, you need to have a toolbox of actions, a toolbox of strategies where you can mix and match the right one for the individual. So in my experience, I've never put someone in a talent management program where it's been, that's a set of things you need to do, go off and do it. No, we sit down, we have a conversation. Where are you going to? What are your aspirations? So you need to really ensure that those strategies link with the individual's aspirations. So it's a whole range of stuff. Like I said, they are formal. You know, it might run over a period of 6 months, 18 months, and so forth. Others, it might just be quite an informal, ongoing process of giving people experience to shadow senior colleagues, you know, experience, you know, to learn from them on the job, or to have really planned coaching sessions, mentorship, and all of that.
Wow. Awesome. I just want to, those who are joining us tonight, I've been speaking with Dr. Iyo Udweni, and we're looking at topic leadership and talent management. Spoken about so many ways that we can, you know, encourage talent management in an organization. You know, one of the first things you said, you need to know your why, the why of the organization, you know, and, you know, you also talked about having, you know, structure in place. Even when you know your why, you must know how to deploy, how to retain, you know, how to, you know, have conversations even with your team members. It's not about just asking them to go on a course, but you must know, you know, the career path and how to position them accordingly. The same lady, Mary Ellen Nadi, said, focus on the right behaviors, the right set of skills, be driven by data and evidence. Can you speak to that? Data and evidence. Can you just speak?
Well, I think that's it. You see, most organizations, and that's one of my personal bugbears also in my time in management and leadership, is that we don't keep good records. We don't document things. So when someone has spent a lifetime, well, not a lifetime, maybe a couple of years in the organization, or even on a yearly basis, do you have a performance management process that requires them to describe what they've done and what they've achieved? You know, the value they've added. And when you have that record and you build that over time, it's very clear to see those, you know, who should be in your talent pool, who you should be investing more time to grow as talent, or who you actually need to spend more time to raise up because they're not meeting the mark. So data and evidence for me talks a little bit more around how you perform. But it's not performance managed in a negative way. It's about trying to make sure that everybody is delivering at a benchmark, at the very least, at the very high benchmark that you set for yourself. And you need to have the evidence to back it up. It doesn't have to be formal evidence or quantitative evidence. It may be qualitative. It may be the feedback that they are getting. What kind of feedback? What are their colleagues saying about them? What are their team leaders saying about them? What are the people beneath them, their juniors, saying about them? That 360 feedback, what's coming out from there? What are customers saying? But you need to build a full picture of the individual. A lot of organizations don't
Okay.
want to spend that time. A lot of leaders don't even know how to do it, not talk about spending that time. But it needs a commitment because it's an investment. You are putting something away aside, for that individual. So you don't make decisions on the huff because the guy smiles well or the lady is very nice and polite. No, that's not it.
Yeah.
Or my gut says this person is going to be great. Rubbish. What does if that helps you? It's not everything, but it's one of the most important things that helps guide you. And if you don't mind me saying this, just coming back on the
Yeah.
back of the other question, when you talked about how you build talent or strategies for building talent, there's also something else I think I don't see a lot of in organizations that are interacted and engaged with, is about having a robust governance and assurance process around management. And what I mean by that is that there needs to be
Yeah.
clear structures in place where you make decisions. I've been in
Hmm.
organizations whereby we want to find a talent pool. You say, can you nominate someone? And you nominate someone, and the process of selecting people is the dark arts. You don't know how it's been done. It's not open. It's not transparent. It needs to be clear to everybody how I get on a talent program. You need to
Hmm.
get clear what the criteria are. The criteria
Okay.
are. So when you have the right governance, the right platform making decisions, you strengthen your hand. You really do strengthen your hand.
Wow. Wow. Awesome. 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 I just want to, appreciate those of us that are joining us. We want to celebrate you. We've been speaking on leadership and talent management, and tonight we've learned quite a bit. Um, we've looked at the area of deploying, retaining, and also mentorship. I want you to speak on mentorship, in an organization. Mentorship.
Mm. So mentorship, I think that's one of the powerful tools in which you build talent, in which you actually build resilience in your organization. So my
Yeah.
experience has always been that mentorship can be formalized, but there's an informal level element of it. So when I say formalized, when an organization values mentorship, then they put it out in front. It's not hidden. I've been in an organization where it asks that, how do you go about getting a mentor? Or do you have a mentors program or whatever and stuff? And it's kind of like trying to find things out for yourself. So mentorship, when it is valued, leaders will champion it. Leaders will role model it because
Okay.
mentors really will help to guide your young, up and coming, budding people, not just necessarily young, really, but just anyone who has got drive, who's
Yeah.
motivated to go further. You can learn of the experiences of others. People will share, all their pitfalls, their experiences. They share their successes, what they did. But I see mentorship really as can be very structured, whereby I've been in an organization whereby you've got a mentors list, you go in, you pick a name off a hat, you don't know the person, and then you go off and have a conversation, and it's really not very productive. So I think also with mentorship, there needs to be that investment where you do
Yeah.
your groundwork. Not
Okay.
everybody is a mentor. There may be a senior leader in your organization, but they're not necessarily cut out for mentoring people. So
Hmm.
that process of actually trying to find the right fits. I have
Hmm.
been in mentoring relationships after a couple of sessions. I'm like, nah, we're not the right fit. And you very politely just excuse yourself because there's no point.
Yeah.
It's not a badge you carry. It is something that is a relationship you're trying to develop that will take you somewhere. I think all good leaders should have mentors. Anybody that knows that wants to go somewhere, should have mentors. Otherwise, you make the mistakes and you waste time and you drag around. And you never know. Mentors eventually end up to be great sponsors. Um,
Yeah.
they're the pinnacle of that can take you where you want to go to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just want to also speak to that because I've had people come to me and say, "Oh, I want you to be my mentor." I like what you're doing. But when it's time to put in the work, find that they're not able to, you know, uh, they're not ready to walk the
Exactly.
talk. Yeah, because
Exactly.
and that's what you see. I don't know. Maybe like I said, maybe it just happens to me, but I don't know whether it's happened to you before. But people come and say, "Oh, I like what you're doing. You're consistent. You're adding value. You're up there, and this is what I want to be. Come, I see my future in you. But when it's time to put in the work, uh, uh, you know, maybe after one or two sessions, you now find out that you're chasing the person, timelines, deliverables,
Nah.
the person is no longer available. Sometimes
Yeah.
they're even reluctant to pick your calls. Can you speak to that?
No, yeah, definitely. There's a lot. One needs to be wary. One of the things I do is I really do prize my time. I think one of the greatest assets I have is my time, and I place a
Yeah,
really big value on my time. We're always, as people, we're always happy to help and support people,
yeah,
but it is really important that for everyone, people should show leadership in their own development. And what I mean by that is that they take ownership, they take
yeah,
responsibility for their own development. And when people come to me wanting to be mentored, the question I first ask is why. Why me and not Joe Blogs? And basically, I think in the mentoring relationship, for the large part, a single part of it is led by the mentee. The
yeah,
mentee, and you're there to support the mentee, but the mentee really needs to carve out, where they're going, what they want to go. And that's why I go back to the whole person. So when a mentee comes, they are hoping to get something out of you, whether it's
yeah,
your experience, whether it's your direction, whatever it is. And they need to be able to describe and articulate that for themselves first, so
yeah,
that they are comfortable and they know where they are going before they actually invite you into that journey.
yeah.
And I will definitely, I'm one of those who will not faff around with people who waste my time. Um, I, I, I have a very, well, yeah, let's just leave it as that. I don't think, um, we had the word mentor, really, and they think that, oh, it's so great to say I've got a mentor of so so and so, and that's the fanciful thing about it. It's just being able to say that I've got a mentor, but not really
Yeah, this is
understanding
my
why they
mentor.
want
I
a mentor.
drop names. Yeah,
Exactly, and drop names rather than be. This is why I want a mentor, and this is what the person can bring to me. And if I know that person can do that, then I actually should be running after them. I should be keeping my deadlines. I should be delivering what I said I want to do. I should be setting the pace for that relationship. Yeah.
wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, for those who are going to be watching or listening to the replay, I've learned a lot myself tonight. Um, I've learned about the benefits of talent management for a leader. I've learned about the futures of talent management. I've learned about how talent management helps leadership development. I've also learned about how we can put in place an effective talent management strategy in an organization. We've also learned about how to engage talent, how to retain talent, how to develop talent, how to identify talent, how to attract talent. But as we come to a close, I want to share about your journey, even in mentorship. What you shared about your view of mentorship. Now, who are your mentors?
Who are my mentors?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, so I think mentoring for me, it comes in two parts. So you've got people where you've got an actual mentoring relationship with, that you'll meet and have conversations and chat with, and there are people I think you can mentor from afar. You just follow their life and their lifestyles and how they operate as leaders, and you try to learn off from them from afar. So for me, I think there are a few people. Let me see who are my who are my mentors in the past few years. I probably will start with my most current mentor, Claire McGuckin. So Claire is a director in the civil service. Claire is a very, very busy lady, very, very busy. But I am so enamored by the fact that she will definitely make time for the people around her and
Wow.
genuinely wants to see them grow. And she is so full of insights. She says she's a people person, and most of the things I'm regurgitating are just basically our our alignments in terms of how we
Wow.
see people in the place of business and organization. So Claire has got lots of insight. I meet up with Claire on a regular basis. We've got a plan for what we want to achieve as a mentor-mentee in the next 6 months. We're working towards it. We meet regularly, even with a very, very busy schedule. So yeah, Claire Adegoke, she's director of civil service. But also I've had mentoring relationships with a couple of other guys. I've just put in names here: John Leyland and Lee Rollinson. They are both directors in the Environment Agency. I've had previous mentoring relationship with them. So what I've always done when it comes to mentoring is that when I have a goal, usually short-term goals, 1-2 year goal, identify the right person or persons who I see in that place or who have gone through a similar journey as myself.
Okay.
I engage with them to see if we are the right fit. And when I mean the right fit, because it's a relationship, it's a social thing. It's not how will I put this? It's not a formalized interaction. So today we've got a 30-minute session. What do you go? Hurry up and go. Do we gel? Do we laugh at the same things? Do we challenge each other? So I will definitely try and find to see if we are the right fit. And those two guys, we are definitely the right fits. They are people who are thinking beyond the today. There are people who will challenge you to take risk and experiment. There are people who have taken risk and experimented. They are vulnerable people who will tell you where they are still struggling and where they can get better. So those are the kind of people that really do inspire me. And I really have learned a lot from those two guys. We do keep up a relationship, even though we are not in an active mentoring relationship currently. But yes, they are fantastic guys at the Environment Agency in the UK. Yeah.
Wow. It's so encouraging, to know that you also have mentors. I mean, when you see people with PhD, sometimes, because what you realized about the higher you go, the more difficult it is to learn from others and to make yourself vulnerable, because you see yourself as someone who has been there, seen it, and done it. So for you to sit under someone, to listen and to be intentional about being mentored, shows that you have a learning spirit, and I just want to salute you and celebrate you. So for those who have joined us tonight, we've had a very powerful session with my friend and my brother. We've been looking at the topic talent management and leadership. This is very, very key, because an organization is as powerful as the people, the talent within that organization. And I have no doubt that you'll be blessed. You can jump in and listen to the replay. And I just want to salute you, sir, for coming tonight. And I have no doubt that I look forward to sharing the platform again with you sometime soon. So on behalf of myself and the team, this has been a wonderful. Yeah. You want to say some things as we close? Yes.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I wanted to jump in quickly to say something because I think opportunities like this are quite good. And of course, thank you very much for the opportunity to just chat about this. We were talking briefly. I think it's really important for your viewers and people that sign in. We're talking briefly about strategies, for talent management. And we're talking about the how you go about doing that. We're talking about the what, but I think what is more important is about the how. It's about, we need to remember that culture will eat strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I want to say to people listening to this that if you're thinking about, managing talent in your organization, you really need to think about how you go about doing it. Do you embrace equality, diversity, and inclusivity?
Yes.
Do you embrace values around fairness and transparency? Are you happy to be challenged? Do you avoid nepotism and cronyism? Do you step away from tunnel vision? Do you step away from these misplaced hierarchies? I think it's really, really central that you have the right culture within your organization. Otherwise, you can have all the strategies you want and all the action plan. If you don't have the right culture, you will really not be able to keep your people in the long run.
Wow. Thank you for speaking to that. I'm so happy that you spoke about culture because, like you said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. If you don't have the right culture and you have a good plan, the plan would not really become, effective. unless you have a culture on the day-to-day basis, becomes a lifestyle even for yourself and your team. So thank you for speaking to that. I'm so encouraged. So tonight has been awesome. It's been amazing. Leadership Talk with Adegoke, 32nd session, to the glory of God. So I just want to say I'm so thankful that we've been able to speak to this topic. And I trust that as many that will be jumping in, because quite a number of people are coming to watch the replay. So I'll be glad to get feedback from those of us that will be joining the replay. On behalf of myself and my brother, we want to say a good evening to you and trust you have a good night. Thank you.